written books, spoke here, there, everywhere over the years, and so I found that some things that are unique about those that build wealth. People always assume that you've got to make more money, and always making more money is the goal of everybody. It wasn't myself, and it still is today. I always like making more money than less money. But here's what I'm teaching tonight is a class that I call Money School 101. Good debt, bad debt, understanding, respecting your money, and I'll be talking about that tonight. We're going to have actually, this is going to be a series of things, so Money School 101, Money School 201, and so we're going to do something different every month, and so get you on a platform, give you a track to run on if you want to make your money more efficient. So let's get started right here, and others will join us as we go along. First, I talk about, I've had people come in, and I've seen people that go on and go, if I could just make another, if I can just get a pay raise, if I can just get a promotion, if I could just make $10,000 more a year, $50,000, if I can only make $100,000 a year, $200,000, if I could just make $1 million a year, Steve. But the funny thing I understood is that if you don't respect your money will disrespect you. It actually will go find somebody else to respect. What I mean by that is, if you don't understand how to manage 20 grand, or 50 grand, or 100 grand, you won't respect and do any better with 150, 200 grand, or $1 million. I use an example all the time, professional athletes. Professional athletes go out and they're thrown into situations where they're making millions, tens of millions, even hundreds of millions of dollars. But within a few years of retirement, many of them end up in bankruptcy. A high percentage of them end up in bankruptcy. Why? Because they don't respect their money. They don't understand that, the income might be disrupted and all that. And debt. I'm going to talk to you tonight about your cash flow and debt and what affects that. I talk about good debt. Loans are just a financial tool. They're basically using OPM, other people's money, to purchase or finance those things that you don't have the cash to pay in full for, or some cases you do have the cash to pay in full for, but sometimes low interest charges encourages or motivates you to not pay cash for it. But that's not why most people use credit, car loans, mortgages, and those types of things. They're using other people's money normally because they don't have the cash to pay for that car, that jet ski, those pairs of shoes, that trip to Disney or whatever, and so they use OPM. Well, I will tell you, if you're using other people's money to buy things your income won't afford you to or your savings won't afford you to, you're making somebody rich. It's just not going to be you. So we got to be careful using other people's money. Wealthy people use it all the time, but they use it to buy assets. They don't use it to buy stuff, depreciating assets. Broke people or average people use OPM for lifestyle choices. Wealthy people use OPM to create better situation. I said debt is neither good nor bad. It's how you use it. A good form of debt could be a student loan. Why a student loan? Because my earning potential, if I go out and get that college degree or that advanced degree, now my earning potential, my income potential is greater than if I hadn't. But a student loan could also be a bad loan. I've seen people that have gone to college, come out of school with a lot of debt, and don't end up using that degree, and then end up working a lesser job or changing course, and their income potential or the economy has not made that student loan be a good debt. It's actually could turn it into a bad debt. So a student loan could be a good debt. Most of the time you think it is. Sometimes it's not. A mortgage can be a very good debt. It can afford you a place to live. You can build up, your house can build up in equity over time. You get a tax deduction on the interest right off of your mortgage. But as tens of millions of Americans found out in this housing crisis that we've been suffering through, is that a good debt could become a bad debt. You got too big of a house. You didn't have enough rainy day money. For a variety of reasons, the property is worth less than it was 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. You're upside down, can't sell it. You have an emergency. So mortgages can be good. They can be bad. What are mostly bad debts almost all the time are credit card debt. Carrying credit card debt on your balance sheet ongoing is not in your best interest. Major car loans. You're going out and you were going to buy a $30,000 car, but because some financing options right there, and because the car was red and shiny and it had this bells and whistles on it, you decided to get the $40,000 car or the $50,000 car. I'm not telling you not to buy the Ferrari. I'm just telling you if you do it and you do it for the wrong reasons, carrying that debt over a long period of time is going to make somebody wealthy. You could have a nice car. You might not just be wealthy. I want everyone here to be wealthy. I want everyone here to drive the nicest cars. I love it when my clients drive up and they got a brand new car and they purchased it correctly. And we'll be talking about good debt and bad debt. So debt is neither good nor bad, although credit cards used for convenience, good source of using other people's money, pay it off at the end of the month. But if you use it as a lifestyle choice because you didn't have the money to pay that debt off at the end of the month, it turns into a bad debt. Car loans, you got to have transportation, but you need to be driving a Ferrari when you should be driving something more modest, and we'll talk about those things. Opportunity cost. It's your cash flow. Your money's flowing through your hands, and people, if you thought about every purchase and thought about the opportunity cost, I say in this slide right here, and hopefully you can see it, every dollar that flows through your hands can either be spent or invested. All right? A spent dollar is like a lost dollar. Once it's gone forever, but it's more than that. If you spend $10, it's not only the $10 that you lose, it's the interest earning power on that over the rest of your life. And you go, well, Steve, it's $10. What are you talking about? $10 times 5 days a week times 52 weeks out of the year, it adds up. Then that other money that you have going on. So opportunity cost, keep that in mind. I'm going to show you a slide on opportunity cost. You know, here's a client, and this is not. I had somebody send me their profile today that looked nearly identical to this. Their loans were about almost identical to that. They had a couple credit cards, student loan, and a car loan. You go, hey, they're making good money. What's $700 a month? Well, what $700 a month is $8,400 a year. Okay, Steve, I'm making 50 grand. I'm making 100,000. I can afford that. But here's what you miss out on. It's not just $700 a month, because if you'd have paid those things off, and now instead of paying interest to somebody else, you had that $700 a month working for you. $700 a month, $8,400 a year. Now I don't know how old you are, so I projected out 30 years just to look in, because many young people fall into this trap, myself included. Again, $700 a month, $8,400 a year at 7% growth rate over a 30-year period of time. At the end of 30 years, you would have had $849,000. That's way more than most people end up in 401ks or retirement accounts. And so that's those little purchases that you make that you're just letting carry off. You go, well, Steve, I won't carry credit card interest for the rest of my life. You want to bet? I won't have car payments the rest of my life. Yes, you will. You just have bigger car payments. You started off with the Yugo, you transferred up and moved on to something more modest, and then eventually when you're really at your peak earning years, you'll be buying the nicest cars you'll ever have. And so it may actually end up being more than $8,400 a year. It could be it could be $10,000 a year, $20,000 a year, $84,000 a year. Whatever your number is, we got to get rid of that credit card debt, the car loans. When you get rid of that, we stop making other people wealthy, and we start focusing on building things for you. So what I'm showing you right here is opportunity cost. That money that's going away to pay for those things that we purchased years ago is now sitting out there. Let me go back to the one slide. That's $700 a month. Some of you have more than that. Some of you have less than that. Whatever you've got in debt, if we've got things carrying and we're paying other people interest and not earning money on that, that's opportunity cost. Future value of money. That future value of money is that $849,000 right there. How many people wish they had that kind of money? Now, some of you are doing okay, but like to have an additional $849,000 put away for the future. And this is not about sacrifice. This is just about being more efficient. I call it cash flow efficiency, CFE, cash flow efficiency. And we'll come back to that here in just a little bit of time. So if your timeline is not 30 years, of course it's not going to be $849,000, but maybe it's $200,000 that you would have in 10 years, or $500,000 or $600,000 in 20 years. Compounded growth is a beautiful thing. By the time most of you get around to paying off the credit card debt and student loans and car loans and boat loans and credit department store loans and all those types of things, now you're running out of time. So let's just get cash flow efficient as soon as possible. We have two ways to get out of debt. I'm going to give you two ways. I'm going to give you old school that really works, and I'm going to give you new school that works much faster. Getting out of debt traditionally. A lot of times people come in here and they go, they've been trying to pay their debt down for a long period of time, and they go, well, I'm paying extra on every payment I've got. Well, that's not what you should be doing. If you want to go old school, then you make the minimum payment on every credit card bill or car payment that you have, minimum payments on all that. And then you take and you gang up on the lowest balance debt. So you make any extra payments, don't go to spread the amount over 2 cards or 5 cards or 10 loans or whatever. You make the minimum payment on everything, but the smallest balance one, you attack it with every additional dollar you've got. Dave Ramsey calls that, snowballing. I call it steamrolling or whatever. It works. You do that repeatedly. You pay off the smallest balance. It doesn't matter the interest rate. You attack the smallest interest balance first, the smallest balance first, regardless of interest rate. Once that one's paid off, you move up and attack the next smallest balance. We're not going to hold on to these things forever, so the interest rates matter, but don't matter a whole lot because we're going to attack them and be done. You do that, and then the last thing that you'll pay off is the mortgage. When you attack the smallest balance, a couple things happen. One, it gives you a sense of accomplishment because you achieved something. If you attack the mortgage first, it works in helping you shave months and years off that mortgage, but you're talking 30 years out on the mortgage, so it's so far down the road people get discouraged. So when you take the smallest balance ones, you go, hey, I paid off that $2,000 credit card balance, honey. We're going to now go over here and attack this Discover card that we owe $3,000 on. Once we get that done, then we're going to pay off the car. Then we might go after the mortgage. And so anyway, things start to happen and things start to get better for you guys really quick. So that's old school. What's new school? Well, old school debt reduction has been around for decades, and if it works so well, and it does work, but it's slow. I can still cook my, dinner. I cooked steaks yesterday out on the grill. My wife cooked baked potatoes in the microwave. Well, I remember back in the day when we used to have to cook those potatoes in the oven because the microwave, believe it or not, for us wasn't an option back then. They didn't have them. It took forever. Well, if I'm going to get out of debt, I'd like to get out of a debt quickly. I didn't build the debt quickly, but I probably want to get out of the debt quickly. So we have this program. For those of you that haven't heard it, this program is called the Wealth Accelerator. This is the new way of getting out of debt. And I'm going to tell you how you can find out more about this program or whatever. Old school debt reduction, new school debt reduction. And this one I'm focusing on the mortgage, and this is somebody that went to my website, cashflowmoneywave.com. This couple still owed $193,000 on their house. They had a pretty good interest rate of 4% on that mortgage. They still had 27 years left to go. They filled in some other bits of information. Now it's estimated that if they use the Wealth Accelerator, turbocharge the debt elimination, that they could pay their house off in 4.67 years, save $104,000 in total interest payments, and check this out, bring their effective interest rate down from 4% on that mortgage to 0.685%. People don't understand that once you attack the principal on a loan, you bring the effective interest rate down very low. And so that's why I'm not concerned on interest rates so much. I'm looking at the lowest balance ones first, and I want to get that. Look at this scenario. If this couple pays their house off in just over 4 years and now takes that monthly mortgage payment and puts it away for the next 27 years, instead of just having a paid-off house like they were on schedule to at that point in time, they could potentially have an extra $648,000 put away for the future. The banks won't tell you these things. I'm telling you. There's quicker, more efficient ways to treat your cash flow. But before we attack the mortgage, I would like to attack the credit cards. I always tell people debt management, increasing your cash flow, I want the credit cards, student loans, and all those things gone first. Here's a client that we've used for years, and let me cursor down a little bit. You can't see my present all thing. This client started using this program called the Wealth Accelerator. They had a Home Depot, they had a credit card, they had a car loan. If I can cursor down there, there's a student loan right down below that you can't, so I can't see it right now anyway. In this estimate, it's estimated that just within a couple months of getting started, this Home Depot card would be gone, boom, in just a few months' time for them. The next thing that was going to be gone is this credit card that they've been, it paid it down, it racked it back up. It was estimated that this was going to be paid off last year in November of last year. This car loan that they had just taken out prior to coming in and see us, a 5-year car loan, instead of being paid off, I think it's 2018, was going to be paid off by the end of this year, and that one's gone. And the student loan was, I think, about $12,000 or $14,000. You might be able to see it. I can't see it currently because of my toolbar down there. But this was about $70,000 worth of stuff if you added up all these numbers down through there, and about $1,100 or $1,200 in monthly payments. It's some fairly high interest rates. I tell people, if you're paying somebody else 11%, 9%, or even 2 or even 0, people go, well, Steve, I got 0% financing. Well, just because you got 0% financing, that means you're maybe not paying them guys any interest. Give me just a second. It may mean you're not paying anybody any interest, but you're not earning any interest on it. So whether it's old school debt reduction or new school debt reduction, all this stuff works. And so if you want to come in, we're going to give you a game plan for either or tonight. At the end of the presentation, I'm going to go through all that kind of stuff or whatever. The wealth acceleration. Let's talk about mortgages. Some of you have seen me talk about this, but there's many people on this call that have never been to a seminar, so I'm going to go through my Mortgage 101. A traditional 30-year mortgage and how it works, I want to make sure you understand this because I tell people all the time, the mortgage you choose, the size house you buy, how much you put as a down payment down will affect your lifestyle for the next possibly 30 years or longer. Meaning if you buy too big a house, now your mortgage payment, now your lifestyle is going into the house, and so now you're chained to the house. You can't put money away for the future. If you take a trip, you got to take and put it on a credit card because your mortgage payment's too big. Let's show you some basics about a mortgage. Borrowing $250,000 at 6%. I'm going to bring the rate down in a minute. I just want this to be an eye-opener for you that have not been out to see us. That is a high interest rate by today's standards, but it's a very low mortgage rate by history standards, and I'll tell you what. By its average, 6% is an average rate. I'll bring it down to 4% here in just a minute. If I borrow $250,000, my monthly payment, excluding my interest, my escrows, my taxes and insurance, my payment is going to be $1,498 per month. My principal is $248, and $1,250 of this is going to interest. That means 83% of my payment is interest. But it'll get better next month, Steve. I go, yep, $1 more. $1 more will shift from the interest column to this column. And then it goes to $2. And anyway, it stays and bounces around. It's just a few more dollars. In this mortgage right here, it takes until the 18th year, as you'll see in a second. But, it takes until the 18th year to where you paid, you're making up some ground. It takes what I call the 18th year, 18.5 year. So at this point in time in this mortgage, you paid over $300,000 in payments, but you've only paid the loan down by $100,000. Well, that's kind of crazy to me. And over 30 years, you'll pay $289,000 in total interest on a $250,000 loan. Now, if you bring your interest rate down, now on this slide it shows a 3.5% mortgage rate. And you all understand the mortgage rates go up and down. 3.5%. We saw those about a year ago. Right now, rates are in the low to mid 4s. But I'm going to use this number right now. So if I bought $250, if you lower the rate, you save some money. It was $1,498, so now you brought it down to $1,100 as your payment. Now instead of having $248 go to principal, now you got $393, so we're building equity quicker. Now instead of 83% of my payment going to interest, now I'm only paying 65% in interest. So I'm building equity quicker, and things are happening, and that's all good. And over time, I will actually end up paying about $154,000 in total interest on that mortgage instead of $289. But here's what I also warn people about all the time. If you're out there and you go out and refinance your house, if you're one of the fortunate ones, can lower your rate down from a 6 to a 4 or whatever it might be and save $100, $500, $1,000. If you go below that money that you saved, and you go buy yourself a bunch of new shoes or a jet ski or a new car. You're enjoying life now, but you really didn't do yourself any favor, because basically what you're doing is financing your future. What you should have did, remember this was $14.98 in that 6% loan, so now I've dropped the payment by over $300. I've got more money going to principal. I'm building equity quicker. But my point is if I don't do something positive with this $300,000 in what I call external savings, what I really did is just set myself up for future pain. Yes, I'm having a better life now, but I'm really not building equity quicker. I could be putting that money into an account, earning interest over time. So I need to consider all those things. Let me march on another slide. What I say is next is I believe that everybody needs to commit to the next 30 days. We're going to send you a profile. Money School, respecting your money. I might go back to in just a minute and skip over a few slides, because I see many people just have joined us that weren't there earlier. Just give me a second. We've had many people that have jumped on there at the last second, so I might go back to the very beginning. What I'm trying to do with people is that over the next 30 days, people assume that becoming cash flow efficient is hard. It's really not that hard. It's more painful to be broke all the time. It's more painful, well, Steve, I'm not broke, but, I'm not saving anything. Well, then you're broke. You're a paycheck or two away from being in financial hardship. So over the next 30 days, what I want to do with the people that were on the call tonight, tomorrow, we're going to send you a profile, and I'm going to show it to you what it looks like here in just a minute. I want you to, if you've got debt of any kind, whether it's student loans or car loans, credit cards, or whatever your downfall is, whatever's hurting and causing you pain now, I want you to either get on an old school platform that I'll help and go through, or I want you to look and research the new school, the Wealth Accelerator. Every Monday for the next month, I'm going to record a coaching call. Anybody that was on the call tonight, I'm going to make it accessible. So in 30 days' time, you can do some great things. You're trying to do it based on your own skill sets, where I tell people, hey, maybe what you're doing is working, but if what you're doing is working, you probably wouldn't be here with us right now. What you're going to see, though, let me get out of here. I want to show you the profile here really quickly and what to expect from that. The profile is going to look something like this. And if you really want to I'm going to look at everyone that fills one of these out. I would like to have you fill them out. We're going to email them to you tomorrow, anybody who was on the call. I would like for you to email these things out, send it to us, and I will have a personal call with you if you would like. So we're going to do an overall group call. Well, I'm going to record it. I'm going to be on vacation, not next Monday, but I'm going to record next Monday's call, and we're going to make it available. We'll send it out to you in email. Hey, you were on this Money School call. If you want to get focused, send this profile back in, catch the coaching call every month, and next month, in 1 month's time, we're going to go to Money School 201. Money School 101, understanding your cash flow, paying down debt, building a rainy day account. Money School 201 is now you've got on a track and debt is being reduced. Where can we put some money? Well, it depends. Do you have a rainy day account, a savings account over your bank? How much money you got in there? Well, I've got $500. Well, you need to have more in there than that. Your rainy day account needs to be a little bit larger than that. Or do you have your rainy day account started? What vehicles can we choose to put money away for the future? And in Money School 201, we'll be going through all that. So many of you will see a profile that looks like this tomorrow. Disregard it. Go about your business. Don't do anything. But if the other things that you've had work for you, keep on doing it. But I want to get people, and I've got people on this call tonight, some of them that I know, that are worth quite a bit of money. But you know what? I've had people worth millions of dollars that weren't any more cash flow efficient than guys that have made modest incomes. Cash flow efficiencies and building wealth, understanding other people's money. There's no way in the world that tonight in this relatively short-term call that I could go through everything that we need to. But the tops of the trees, we got to get rid of the debt because of opportunity cost. We have to use OPM, other people's money, and use it efficiently. Again, if you're just joining us, wealthy people use other people's money to buy assets and build wealth. average or broke people use other people's money in the form of credit cards or high interest loans, and they use it to buy stuff that they can't afford to pay cash for. We've got to quit using that. I want to create cash flow efficiency. Your money becomes efficient when you're not paying any interest to other people or paying minimum interest to other people, and you're using their money to build wealth for yourself instead of just funding your lifestyle. Guys, I always try to keep these calls short and try to keep us online. A couple of people had some questions, and let me see if I can grab a couple of them. People raised their hands. And so anyway, I don't see whatever happened, whatever I did, I don't see those messages right here and right now. We're recording this. We're going to make it available for those people that were on the call. It's not that complicated. The first step to getting on the road, to being comfortable and building financial wealth, is getting other people out of your business. The mistakes or the choices you made in the past, we need to fix them. Hey, been there, done that myself, and we want to get on the road. Your life will be better now in the short run. Your life will be much better. You'll build wealth and opens up more choices. So when you take those vacations, maybe you get to go first class instead of having to put it on a credit card and paying it off over the next 5 or 10 years or so. Guys, we're out of time. Try to keep it to a short on tracker right here. Hopefully you got a little bit of something to this. We'll be in touch. Let me back up one time before I end the call. You'll see that profile in your email box tomorrow. And then, if you want to, let me go to the last slide right here. Commit to 30 days. Send the profile back by Wednesday or as soon as possible. Old school or new school on the debt. And I will set up a group coaching call where you can ask me questions, or I'll just record it and go, hey, did you do this? Did you do that? And then individual calls. If you want an individual call, call the office and set it up. And once I see your profile, I can't coach you if I don't see some of your stuff on your profile. So profile, commit to 30 days. You'll be amazed. It will empower you to prosper if you do this. Guys, I'm going to cut it short right there. I'm going to make sure I stop recording.